We got the Renekton, the Kalista,
Hey.
the Ahri banned away, V5 banned away, the Poppy, the Sejuani, and the Jax.
The first time Trundle will be left open in this draft, though. So, looks like they're going to try and get that, I imagine, on this next rotation here. And we're getting a bit of an earlier rotation here for V5 as well, opting in towards the Lucian Nami bot lane. 100% win rate at the moment for this bot lane. The question is whether it will stay true in this game and they can bring it to a game 5.
They're trying to find something different to bring us to that Silver Scrapes, but one thing they didn't grab this time around that is a huge boon to Zeri would be the Hume, which I think is a terrible twosome in their own right, and it'll be locked in for LNG. We're getting all the kitties.
I mean, the Nara as well. Yeah, I mean, now with Nara as well locked in for Alan that top side, the question mark then becomes, do you lock in a Trundle? Do you take a jungle here for Karsa? Or do you try and lock in some sort of answer? Okay, I will say that Sylas could go mid. Also, Sylas is a really strong pick into Nara. So just keep that in the back of your mind. And it's also something that we did see Rich bring out before. So this could actually be still a top lane Sylas.
Could be, and I like the flexibility for V5 going into this game, right? They are on the ropes. They are one game from losing this series, and we get the respect bans towards Doinb. At this point, though, you gotta be wondering what the next one is gonna be. The Akali banned away.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be the Nocturne again. I think just trying to get rid of that, and it's just been a case of this time, both junglers are kind of playing a game of chicken. Like, who wants to try and lock in that first jungle pick and then give the response over to the opposite side. With V5, I feel like taking the jungle on this next rotation could be pretty key. It looks like LNG still going to ban away things that can do well against the Zeri. But we've kind of known Karsa as like a very strong Trundle player, has also heavily relied on things like the Lee Sin as well over the course of his career. So we'll have to see exactly what this plan is going to be now for V5. So, well, I'm going to say substitute jungler, but what was his main jungle?
All right, so they respect ban Trundle off of both junglers at this point, but it's preliminarily towards Tarzan here, and that does leave the Nocturne open. See if we get any of that spiciness for Doinb. But again, it was a very big difference whenever we saw him on the Yone, right, in game number 2. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Doinb whips out this time around. We also don't get the Wukong. I feel like it's a huge adaptation for LNG to kind of take that one away from Karsa.
Is this the Lee Sin? This is the big question.
Man.
Like, this could be the moment where he decides to bring it out, but we're actually going to wait and see. So, looks like Rookie will be the one piloting the Sylas in the mid lane, as Rich will opt in towards the Kennen here. So, very strong team fighting composition set up here. You've got great ultimates for this Sylas to try and steal away, and it's going to be a hyper focus on the mid game for V5 that LNG will need to respond with.
And I'm really liking the team fight setups, the tidal waves on top of the slicing maelstroms, plus whatever Rookie can just throw at them in terms of the kitchen sink. But especially looking at that bot lane duo with the synergy with the team setup in the team fights. But it's the Xin Zhao coming through for LNG. So a little bit of stability, a little bit of forward aggression in terms of a jungler here. And we're just waiting on Doinb's pick.
I mean, the Rise could work out really well here. Does very well against the Sylas, keeps him pushed in, gives you the opportunity to roam, and that will be it. So the question now is what Karsa wants to go with. Pantheon is still available if Karsa wants to go for the super early picks, but it looks like, okay, that would actually be
Let's
amazing.
go!
So yeah, he's going to run it back. He's going to say, hey, you know what, Doinb, you did a really good job on it. Let's see if you can do it again. Something that can do very well in trying to match these early roams from the Rise, especially as you start to hit 6. Rookie as well, going to be able to link up very well with this jungler as you start to look at like follow-up dive potential with like a Nara ultimate, the Yuumi ult as well, even having the Crescent Guard as well, stolen from the Xin Zhao, could do a lot of work. So V5, hyper aggressive composition in the mid game. We're going to have to see if they can try and power through that.
Love to see it. Even Karsa give a little touch to his top laner there. Say, hey, we got this. And especially the composition, the level of execution, the Nocturne level 6 mark, that will be so incredibly useful in terms of utility to set up team fights, to set up those picks for V5. But that's where I'm looking at Tarzan and the combination that we've seen from him in terms of the forward aggression plus the pathing aggression.
Well, this is it now. Game 4 for V5. This is where they will still guarantee themselves that slot in the regional playoffs, but it's about finding confidence, finding their footing coming in to those best of fives. LNG hoping to keep their miracle run still alive. This could be the game that solidifies themselves that double elite.
Will we go to Silver Scrapes, or do LNG make good on their miracle run from last year to move one step further in the LPL playoffs? All of the focus comes down to what Karsa brings to this series, what difference V5 will have going into this fourth game, because it's all about LNG versus V5, and it's all about the legends in the mid lane, Doinb and Rookie. And we're getting that level 1 shenanigans from V5 yet again. They'll actually find LvMao here, but he'll get right back to life. The Abscon abduct early from Rookie. Just some damage down.
Yeah, hoping he could connect on towards LvMao with that one, and that would have been a kill set up for V5, but not quite fast enough on the trigger finger. So LvMao will escape back towards light. No real response coming through, though, from the rest of LNG. They don't want to try and invade. They don't want to try and look for any sort of extra vision, especially when they didn't spot Karsa on that bot side play. He was actually sitting in the top lane, so they will just back away and keep themselves safe for the moment.
So let's dive into the Nocturne in the jungle this time around. It's not going to be the Doinb Nocturne in the mid lane. Do we see a difference in kind of uptick of play in terms of skirmishing, right, that we have seen so prevalent early on in this series?
Well, I think it definitely kind of lends itself towards V5 trying to hit certain timers for them to play aggressive. Like, you want to hit 6 as soon as possible in this Nocturne, right? Get access to that ultimate. But you're also waiting for, like, Rookie to get a couple of levels in the mid lane so he can become more relevant. You're waiting on, like, Photic and ppgod to have a bit of a better time in the spot lane when they hit level 3. So there's definitely, like, distinct timers on V5 that you're going to be looking to try and play around, and making sure that you can lean into those skirmishes and try and use the big ultimates that you can get from both Rookie and Karsa, even as well with Rich in that top side. And for LNG, it's going to be a case of Tarzan and Doinb trying to disrupt that as much as possible. And Doinb has full push in mid. You got Tarzan alongside it. Like, lean into these aggressive lanes that want to continuously push you in the side lanes.
Yeah, and I got to talk about those aggressive lanes as well, because we are getting our first change up in the bottom lane here for the fourth game as well. Photic and ppgod opting into the Lucian Nami, as you had said. That win rate mighty high for Photic, and especially looking at how they can approach these fights. It's going to be a different game, at least comparatively to the Sivir, but that burst potential, that highlight potential is absolutely there for Photic.
And this is where, again, you need to try and see if you can enable this Lucian Nami. Like, you have so much damage that you can churn out, especially into a lot of the squishier members of LNG. The only person who kind of can stand up to that is going to be Tarzan when he can use that ultimate. So I definitely think you have a lot of presence here as Photic to be a major carry in this game, as Rookie takes a bit of a rough trade here against Doinb, but should be able to walk away.
He actually loses out on that trade, and Doinb's the one with potions. So nice little trade back in terms of like that kite back from Doinb, but love to see the aggression coming out from Rookie. Speaking of aggression, though, we could have our first little tussle as Tarzan looking for the Scuttle Crab, and Karsa right here to contest, going for that skirmish. And Karsa, you're in some trouble here. He does have the Conqueror and Rich on his way down. It's turning into a 2v2 as Rookie cannot get here. Tarzan wants to go do it. He tries to go in against the flash. Karsa in some trouble, and first blood to Tarzan. Welcome to the series, Karsa.
I mean, already Karsa making mistakes in this early stages. Rookie had no presence in the mid lane, didn't have any mana, no way to follow up. He thought that with Rich having control over top, maybe they could escape, but great flash forward from Doinb manages to get that kill set up, and already things going a bit awry for V5 in what could potentially be their final game.
That is exactly the plan from LNG, though. Get something going with this Xin Zhao. It's the first time Tarzan's on it here in this series, and it already pays dividends. Now it's about making good on that early aggression, that first kill. He'll have the Iron Spike whip here as well as he heads back towards bottom lane. But Karsa just trying to catch back up to some extent, trying to get his feet under him and hovering this bottom lane a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll give him access to level 4, but again, like, you've already given a good amount over to Tarzan. Like, the extra damage that this Iron Spike whip can provide in the early game, it's going to be so strong. But, I mean, this is just strange, honestly, from Karsa. Like, Tarzan always wins this early, and even though he's just like, okay, well, we can get this push in, or we can get the Scuttle Crab and walk away, like, easy for Doinb to follow up on this play, picks off Karsa, and there's just nowhere left for him to go.
Yeah,
I mean, even you've got the Gnar coming down as well at that stage.
Yeah, exactly. It was just never felt like it was going to work out for V5, but they forced the hand anyways. Allah, he might be in some trouble here. Rich has flash, but he's not going to burn it just yet. Doesn't want to go for the overzealous play, but it's still control in the top side at least. Big CS advantage for Rich.
Yeah, Rich just checking to make sure that Allah did actually back, but that, as you say, should give a nice little bit of an advantage here for Rich. May be able to get himself up towards that level 6 just that smidge faster and see if you can make that work over towards things like the Rift Herald. Now, Doinb and Tarzan, though, we said they had to be the ones controlling this game.
He saw him over the wall. Oh, Karsa does read it there and will be out of harm's way. But Tarzan, Doinb, they're flexing their muscles from mid lane, and this is not the way that V5 can find advantage in this one, right? Like, if the control continues to be in Tarzan and Doinb's favor, they will be all over the place.
The thing is, though, look at the level advantage. Tarzan is spending so much time trying to get in on top of Karsa that he's actually falling behind in experience. And a lot of the golden experience on these Krugs is in these smaller Krugs, which Karsa did manage to get a lot of. So you still aren't quite getting advantages in the manner that you would hope for as LNG. They're trying to kill Karsa, but not actually quite getting that. So you're also giving time towards Doinb now, Rookie, in the mid lane, who is getting an advantage over being able to push in waves. And now, maybe looking at actually moving up towards this top side for a potential dive.
They could. Karsa's not level 6 just yet, but they want to try to punish Allah, who is almost Meganar here. Here comes the Rumwood from Rookie, the slicing maelstrom from Rich as well. But it's LNG making good on it, and Karsa dies for the second time in the game. He just got into the series, and already it's a difference maker here, but in LNG's favor. Now Rookie is trying to play some alcove game. He's trying to get out, but his life will be forfeit. And that is 3 kills, almost 4 to LNG.
Great read on the play from LNG. Tarzan was already in position. Doinb willing to sacrifice the lane in mid to turn that play around on top side. And LNG get so many advantages in this early game. It's looking pretty dire for V5.
And I was just about to go in this whole spiel. It's like, oh, we're talking about Karsa, the veteran C, but you can't forget that you have a literal world champion in the mid lane of Rookie. You have such big accolades for this mid laner, but it's plays that just don't go their way for V5, and Rookie overzealously playing forward.
But look at the minimap right now. Where the camps are spawning is bot side for Tarzan. Tarzan reads the play, knows that V5 are going to try and make something happen up towards this top side, and immediately LNG are there to spawn. Even Rookie as well was already moving towards that top side before the play even had started. So just so many members from LNG respond, and V5 now very much struggling. Yes, you're looking at this Rift Tower that's about to spawn, but with 2 kills already for Allah, he hasn't reset. So maybe that's your window of opportunity here when he doesn't have TP, but it looks like V5 aren't even willing to try and force the issue.
And big thing for me, obviously, Karsa being that level 6 mark now, the paranoias are going to be so huge, right? We saw Doinb literally just manipulating entire team fights because of the paranoias, and I'm looking at Karsa to do much of the same, but in terms of shot calling, in terms of playmaking, from the jungle of V5, as we see a bit of aggression in the bottom lane, still Photic and ppgod try to take down Light and LvMao, the culling and the tidal wave used.
Yeah, trying to get as much damage, but the healing will still be here from the Yuumi, so we'll be able to keep themselves at least somewhat topped up. This is going to be Photic and ppgod now looking to reset. Maybe try and move up towards this Rift Tower, but actually gets interrupted there, so I think it'll be a case of Photic and ppgod now moving back down towards this bot side, because it'll be a pretty sizable wave that Light and LvMao will have built up on this bot side.
Love Tarzan's pathing here, just trying to see if he can get this Rift Herald out from underneath the nose of Karsa. They will spot it out because of the control ward there in the pixel brush, but it'll be quickly cleared. And we do wonder if, obviously, LNG opt into one of these early objectives. I feel like with the lead they have, they're fine just kind of waiting to play against the plays that V5 are trying to make, right? In terms of the objectives, it's 4 minutes after the dragon spawns, and now we're getting all the V5 members around this Rift Herald except for Photic.
This is a bit tense. Rookie trying to see if he can hide where Karsa is for the moment, but that does give the opportunity, as you say, for Light to roam up here. So I think at this stage, V5 give up position on that Rift Herald, look instead to try and get a dragon, and feels like that's going to be the game plan here, as Photic will be able to push in on the spot side. But nice job from LNG again to control what V5 are capable of doing in this game.
Again, just back into the conversation for LNG in terms of how they adapt to opponents. I've loved to see their focuses shift, even in this series, right, in terms of what they've been able to grab in their drafts. But now we're seeing the Rift Herald focus. We see if they can use that to kind of break something open in this mid or bottom lane. Even if the first dragon is going to V5 and Karsa, I still think you can have a lot of options forward for LNG with this early advantage on Tarzan.
And then we're going to have to see if they can try and keep this one up. Because again, you do have V5 kind of starting to get to a point where their team composition comes in line, right? Like, Rookie going to want kind of an item and a half, get up towards level 9, level 10, 11 before he comes online. Karsa can always catch people out if they overextend that smidge too far. And especially when you get to, like, this stage of a series, that's where the fatigue starts to set in.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit of sloppiness comes through. And that could be what brings V5 back into this.
Could be indeed. And I guess for me as well, looking back at a lot of the things we were talking about coming in this one, it is about pride to some extent for a lot of these members, but specifically Doinb and Rookie. And we're seeing a lot of the play revolve around these junglers in this series so far. But again, it's about the step up to the moment. It's about making these decisive calls, because something that we have lauded Rookie on this entire year, it felt like, is just the movement for the decision making for him, in the terms that he is, you know, a wonderful bodyguard to have for the side of V5, because he's always looking for those plays, but he's always willing to play to the team as well.
And he needs to have that impact here, but it does feel difficult against LNG. Like, when we look back at their run last time, it was only kind of routed by top esports. Like, you end up Sunni drop, you know, you get RNG drop. The only team that was actually able to keep them in check was top esports. And top esports, well, they're on the other side of the bracket. And for LNG, they're hoping to have a rematch with them if they can beat V5 and JDG.
Tidal wave comes out, but the final chapter is already there. And LNG, they're pouncing like predators. That's 4 kills already. And a bot lane focus where Light was at disadvantage in terms of items, but LNG make good on it.
But this is what we said. Tarzan and Doinb, they're the ones that need to make the plays. They're the ones that need to step up to keep control of these side lanes. With 4 kills on LNG, 100% kill participation for both mid and jungle on LNG. This is the strength of LNG. When the team is on point, when they are all on the same page, no longer will they be chained.
They will not. We'll see if they can continue to get this advantage here. Rich does pop the slicing maelstrom to get away from Ala, who's just trying to stack up the Meganar here. Might actually look for a little bit of aggression there. He has a whole minion wave just piecing away at his health bar here, but we get a lot of pings down bottom lane as Tarzan, he does not want to let Karsa breathe.
I mean, why let him? Why would you give this guy the opportunities,
no,
Rich?
Rich! No! Ala's taking the damage. He flashes. Oh my God! Rich, you just got gapped.
And it is feeling like spring again for V5. Rich not being able to stand up in the 1v1 against Ala. Mistakes coming through in the early stages. And just the team not being on the same page at all. LNG are showing what teamwork can look like. Are showing what a super team, when they're on the same page, can achieve in the LPL.
Yeah, absolutely incredible stuff. You see the min-maxing here, just knowing the entire time he's waiting to get as much damage as possible on the Ridge.
I mean, you can, like, you get to this stage as already looking pretty risky. I wasn't sure if Ala was already feeling, but Rich here, like, walks straight over towards the wall. Yeah. And Ala's like, okay, perfect here. Hits the house, smacks him down. And with that stage, you already know it's over. You've also just given Ala the ability to flash safely away from that as well. It's a great job by the LNG top laner. 3-0 now on the Gnar. Like, everything has gone wrong for V5.
Yeah, I got to throw some praise on Ala, right? He was speaking to Patty for Frentecube last year saying, you know, I will perform better as time goes on and show people things they haven't seen. Well, Gnar is not something we haven't seen in the LPL, but he has been so incredible in such clutch moments, right? The BLG series, literally somehow winning the game in Game 4 because of his big Meganar ulti, because of the bait, and now we're seeing him pick up the slack on a team of incredible stars his own right.
And when you have this squad working together, like, you can see Ala looks fantastic. Tarzan Doinb controlling the game. And again, Light, like, he's on the scaling pick. He's a Zeri with a Yuumi. Like, that is terrifying
Yeah.
when you get to the late game. V5 are the ones that needed to take control of the mid game. They are now sitting in a 2k gold deficit. They don't have the items that they need really on towards the champions that they want. LNG maybe can fight this dragon in 20 seconds, but that'll depend as V5 want to try and pick them off before they get there.
Light is just super scary, but the combo of Tarzan and LvMao as well. The Yuumi actually playing huge dividends here for LNG, where we've seen the Lulu majority here for LvMao, if not all actually. And now to see that kind of adaptation taking away a piece from V5, but now V5, they get caught a little bit. Tidal Wave comes through. The final chapter is already there. There's the paranoia, but they also now have Doinb in the fight. The lightning crashes around V5, and they're headed away from the fight now. They're TPing Rich in with the slicing Maelstrom. LNG realizes they need to get away. Rookie connects all the way on the end of it. Slicing Maelstrom from Rich. It's not enough to get the damage down. He might get focused now. Big bubble from ppgod, and V5 are fighting themselves back into this one.
They're so low.
Oh!
Light gets Rich.
Light, he gets one. He's trying to get the at least CC down from LvMao to try and help follow that one up, and he gets the one back.
They need to get more, though. You're going 1-for-1. LNG get top tower. Allah is huge, and you've still got Rift Herald up and available as well. So Allah can even move across over the mid lane, start to chip away at this mid lane turret, and make sure the V5 aren't able to gain access to the map. This was the moment for V5. This is where they needed to make it happen, but they couldn't quite get it to stick. Photic baits in Tarzan, hoping to make the play, but with that Crescent Guard keeping him safe and healthy for so long, having that Yuumi able to help him bring it back, and then Doinb, super carry Doinb's back here with the amount of AoE damage that this Ryze can churn out in this fight. And again, Rich just able to get in onto the back line, but nobody can follow up. Photic low, Rookie has to wait for the Kingslayer cooldown to come through again, and that's why Light can step up here and just about get that kill back onto Rich.
Can I just say, there is a little bit of desperation in the eyes of V5, right? Like, there were 5 members there closing on Doinb, who was almost dead. Karsa flashed to try to get the kill, even if he had 200 health, right? There is a desperation to try to get something in this game, find something to stand on for V5, because they don't want to see their summer split end in failure like we saw in last split. And it starts by finding those little advantages, but as you said, it's just not enough just yet. Allah might be caught here. The Megadar misses. Paranoia comes out, but he's a tanky boy. And here comes V5 walking away from the Rift Herald because LNG, they're taking pole position.
That was messy from Rookie. Not even getting the Gnar ult in the direction of the wall. I mean, it kind of sums up the desperation that you talked about, Mazel, here for V5. But for LNG, this is their moment, right? This feels like, once again, we're getting towards Worlds and LNG are leveling up. A team that has only ever managed to achieve top 4 twice as LNG and once a Snake. This is where they can try and beat that record, finally find this new high for the organization. And when they're sitting just, one game away against V5, JDG is their next opponent, who again, they beat last time they were on this miracle run. We'll have to see if LNG, who are firing all cylinders, looking so incredibly strong, if they can change their fate from what had felt like had been sealed.
Let's talk about V5 a little bit more in terms of their setup here, though, trying to get back into this game. Obviously, it's a lot of dip and diving in terms of getting Photic the damage he needs, but it's also the setup, right? Look at Karsa with the paranoias, the setup from Rookie as well. Do you think they have an avenue in terms of the mid to late game?
It feels like it has to come from Photic right now. There's just so... Oh, hang on. Are we gonna... Yeah, I wasn't sure how aggressive we're going to go in this one. Tarzan may still not be out of the wood yet.
He's going to be a little bit of trouble. This does get out of there, though. Has LvMao right on his back.
Yeah, it feels like it's all on Photic, right? This AD carry, who we haven't got to see a huge amount of because of the way that these games have panned out, but traditionally, like 30% of the team's damage. We talked about him being that late game insurance. Well, not quite late game on the Lucian, but it feels like he needs to step up now to try and soften up these players, but he's getting caught.
Speaking of soften up, Karsa comes back in to try to save the day, but he just forfeits his life potentially here against the rest of LNG. Light is putting in the work, and one more auto attack will do it. That's another death to Karsa, and another warm welcome from LNG to the B5 jungler.
Yeah, again, you just have too many members of LNG there. V5 weren't in a position. Now, they're even getting poked down. This turret should fall because V5 are just taking so much damage from LNG.
They just don't have the range. They can't get up to contest anything. The Ultra Shock Laser as well. It's not doing as much damage as it did in game number 1, but it'll poke you down and stop those backs. They get the outer tower here, and that's 3 towers back to back to back for LNG.
And now as V5, how do you try and contest these objectives? Like, you can see here, Photic is trying desperately to be the guy that carries, trying to find these plays that can bring it back, but, I mean, there's just no way with the TP coming through that V5 can actually look to answer this. You don't have Rookie there. You can see where Rich is on the bottom side of the map, so you just, LNG collapsing faster, using the TP advantages that they have, and it just hasn't worked out at all with these paranoias thus far for V5.
It's really unfortunate too when you think about the background of a lot of these players, right? And the way that it came together. We said on paper, like, this is for both sides, it was super teams. Like, these were a couple of teams were like, oh my God, we're getting this in the LPL? And we have seen that domination from V5 in the past. We said if they all show up, they're incredible. But it's moments like this, the lacking moments, the parts where it does bring in so many questions and so much memory from the failures of the past for V5.
I mean, when you look again, like, you got world champion Rookie from 2018, MSI champion from 2018 in Karsa. Like, this is supposed to be a team that should be able to dominate through the mid-jungle, but it's Doinb and Tarzan that are showing up. These two players together have been instrumental to the success of LNG in this game, and I mean, Wind becomes lightning with crash onto Karsa with 30 seconds until Dragon. It feels like LNG want to make the play again.
Realm Warp from Doinb will bring him into the fold. Tidal Wave on from ppgod, though, brings LNG away from that aggression. Again, V5 don't have a mid tower to fall back to, so they're playing with a lot of confidence here with no defense.
Yeah, Rich has TP to try and get in, but there's no wards either on the side of LNG's jungle for V5 to try and make work. So you've actually got to be more scared of Allah on the flank with where he's positioned. Tier 1 tower will drop for V5 in top, will be traded for a tier 2 tower for Allah in the bot lane, and Dragon to boot as well. V5, we already smelt a bit of desperation. Well, they reek of it right now. They need to find something to pull themselves back into this game, because, like, Dragon's so heavily in favor of LNG.
Yeah.
I just don't know where they can do it.
And the other thing is, when you're talking about those dragons, right, is our first Infernal Soul here on the Rift. And I don't even want to think about the damage profile that's coming out from LNG if they do get that soul. It's going to have to be contested by V5. And they're hoping by that point, right, they can find a way to synergize their ultimates, to synergize their setup. Get the big flank from Rich. If you can find a crucial slicing maelstrom, that makes the difference in the game. Karsa with the paranoias, Photic being able to dive into the fights and find the damage. I was talking with Ox the other night and just looking at the differences that we see in Lucian's playstyle. Yes, he is that early, strong, laning focused ADC, but he still puts out massive damage if you can navigate the fights right.
And it's about navigating the culling, right? That's where a huge amount of that upfront damage comes from. And if you can get that on towards LNG, as we talked about, like, that is a good way to try and kick off these fights, because LNG, apart from Allah, aren't particularly tanky right now, right? The early Thornmail coming through will help out significantly against Photic. But other than that, it just feels like maybe you could try and get damage down onto Doinb, get damage down onto Light, but it's still going to be so incredibly difficult, even with the Crown of the Shattered Queen as well for Doinb. 3 items for Doinb right now. A full item over his counterpart in Rookie.
Yeah, I mean, he's the most built in the game so far. It stands to test of time at this point. He's got the scaling later on in the game, but he's also just been so crucial in the pickup of pace for LNG, right? Those Realm Wards, trying to always poke and prod V5 and find something to take advantage of. Allah stacking up his Meganar on the side. He sees a potential flank option. There's the Realm Warp, and Tarzan kills ppgod. That's exactly what we were looking for in the Paranoia. Not going to do much, Karsa.
Now, Rookie has the Narrow, was trying to see if maybe he can make a play happen, but the ppgod down doesn't feel likely. Photic resetting. Rookie will be forced to back away. And I'm actually looking at where LNG are positioning, because there's a lot of pings going down around this Baron. I think it's just to get vision control down, though, and make sure that next time they can turn that into that objective.
Yeah, still a lot of devastating ultimates in small space if you go to fight V5 in that aspect. and also with that Meganar being there for Rookie. It's just about lane adaptation here now for LNG, where they're trying to move around the map, see if they can force their hand onto a Baron. But with this big of a lead, right, like 7,000 gold in the lead almost, it's actually very easy for them to move around the map and kind of force V5's hand. And now we have 2 minutes for a Dragon. The setup is going to be there for V5, but they've got to get into position.
I mean, for V5, it feels like that position is kind of done for. Like, even when you look here, right, the ability for the Realm Warps to come through, again, Tarzan and Doinb here, Allah keeping V5 in check. How do you try and position in here when at any point in time LNG feel like they can just break it? You don't have the control of the map either to get vision control on your bottom side for the next Dragon that spawns, to try and contest LNG's iron grip on this Baron as well. Because Allah pushing down on bot side, Doinb just keeping himself out of sight so he can always come in with that Realm Warp whenever he wants.
Now Allah is backing, actually stops his back to continue pushing this side lane to force again V5's decision making. He has TP join the fight as well, and Doinb can always kick it off with the Realm Warp if he wants to. But in all actuality, LNG have complete control in a situation like this, and V5 just trying to pick up the scraps in all actuality. And I think with that bottom lane pressure, with now minions crashing onto the inhib tower, we've seen both times that LNG have closed out games. They holistically follow on the bottom lane, get that inhib, snowball it into the mid lane inhib, and it works out for them. So I'm seeing if we get a rinse and repeat from LNG in terms of them breaking the base of V5.
I think for LNG, it's just a case of, again, like, doing what they did in Game 3, playing a little bit through side lanes, playing a little bit around these objectives, making sure that they're going to be totally fine, and then booking themselves that ticket for that match against JDG. I mean, they did end up losing to JDG in the regular split, but in a close, like, 3-game series. But, I mean, that was on an LNG that couldn't quite achieve what they're achieving right now. So, I think for JDG, they're going to be looking at this a little bit gobsmacked at the LNG that they're seeing take over here against V5.
Shock Laser splits them apart. Light is in some trouble, but the final chapter comes out, dissuading V5 from moving forward. But now the setup is looking at the Dragon here. Do V5 try to force something to stop Soul Point for LNG? Or do they just let it go? Allah almost has the Meganar on the side. He has a big setup, but you're also looking at the setup for V5. The Paranoia, the Slicing Maelstrom, everything available to them as the Dragon starts off here. We'll see ppgod gets hit by the Ultra Shock Laser with a little bit of poke from V5. If they can get it, there's the culling that you wanted to start off the fights. Doinb goes golden, doesn't get hit by the abduct from Rookie. Allah was looking for the Meganar, but Rookie is looking for his own. LNG are set up against the wall here. Does the bodyguard make another huge play around the Dragon pit? We have to wait and find out. V5 are the ones now taking the Dragon, and LNG, no Meganar and Allah. They're trying to contest this. Rich goes, but he doesn't get the Slicing Maelstrom, and now they have actually picked up Doinb after the crown goes off. Tarzan is in the background, but you have to watch Light the entire time. Rookie, the rest of V5, they're being bought out of the Dragon pit here, but now they can maybe collapse. Allah goes a little bit ham, leaving Tarzan and Light by himself. He's looking to take down Rookie, though, and Meganar comes up again. Allah gets bubbled immediately, but the rest of LNG, they're trying to move forward, and V5, they're gonna go down. Light is a monster, and so is LNG. He gets himself a triple kill. No, it's LvMao that picks it up, and the scared cat strikes again. LNG have dashed V5's hopes.
The chill-in brings about a new enlightened one, and it feels like for LNG, they have lit up V5. They have found what they needed to take the playoffs by storm. The miracle run cannot be stopped as LNG will now move back to take the Dragon. But what a magnificent fight again from LNG, consistently finding ways to deny V5 access. This is where it looks dire for V5, or for LNG, with Rookie finding the kill onto Doinb. But again, Light untouched, and this spread out fight where nobody wants to help Rookie. He's off on one end. V5 can't find the engage onto Light on the other, and it's too little too late by the time they group with Rookie. And again, Light and Tarzan finding the success that they need.
Man, the fact that Allah gets Meganar for a second time, this finally gets the ulti off. The fact that final chapter goes back off cooldown. Like, oh my my God, there's just no hope, it feels like, in a lot of these fights, because even through the scrappiness, even through the decisiveness of V5, they weren't able to contest in the way they wanted to.
And now V5 are left with scraps. 3 dragons, 2 LNG, a soul on the cards. Baron still there. And V5 are just trying to see if they can get any of this standing gold back in their favor. We talked about them needing to play around specific spikes. Well, those power spikes are gone. And new spikes are coming online for LNG. Light picking up close to his 4th item, now working on his wit's end to make sure that Rookie and Rich can't pick him off. Allah being able to finish off his own wit's end and now moving it over as well to get Randuin's almost so Photic can't do as much work. Maybe
they're going to try to pounce. This is the kind of play that we were looking for V5. He is a tanky individual. The Crescent Guard buys a lot of time, but Light and LvMao know they need to back away from that one. Now Baron, maybe in the sights of V5, but they get one. I don't know if they need to go all the way.
No, they want to see, like, this is their best moment to try and make something happen. They're trying to see if Rich can maybe get in. Rookie doesn't have access to that narrow ultimate, which would also be a massive engage tool for them, especially with the flash. But Allah trying to build up his Mega Gnar.
They're going to try to catch all is just dead outright. Rookie gets the kill. This is the V5 that we're looking at to try to pull back into this game. They're doing the Baron now.
I mean, we said V5, the best win rate when behind, but I mean, this would be unbelievable. This would be an incredible bring back from V5, and they're looking for it.
Final tap that they're going in for the fight. Light and Doinb, though, they have so much damage. The lightning crashes. Light is just looking for a steal potentially here, but they don't get the damage down, and V5 come up huge with the Baron buff.
And don't forget Baron, the highest objective bounty in the game as well. That's a massive influx of gold to V5 alongside the kills, alongside the shutdowns, and a bit of a whoopsie from LNG. Tarzan and Allah both getting caught out, and V5 make it back just in time to hold on to their base. But you'll see it here. Tarzan thinks he's safe, but immediately V5 pull the trigger. They know that Doinb's resetting on the bot side, so he won't be here, and they're just about able to finish Tarzan before people are able to get in position.
And this Baron buff, they have to utilize it as best they can. They have cut that gold lead down to 4,000, and now it's all about next movements here, as Doinb not going to go against Rookie in this 1v1 on the top side of the map, but especially looking at the next moves, looking at the at least map focus from V5, because they have 2 minutes on this Baron, and they need to get as much gold back into their pockets as they can.
It's also the 2 minutes that lead directly up to that Infernal Soul potential for LNG. So the fact that they can now push in these waves, get control over them, and then fall back to Dragon is going to be huge. Photic needs to be careful, though. This is where you need to make sure that you can actually get these structures down and get that gold in your favor.
It's again, the range is not playing to their advantage here. It's really difficult for Photic to weave these fights, but if he can, that is so big, right? God. The damage, the burst coming out from the pick. He is on 4 items now, having Gale Force available to end somebody's life. But in all actuality, right, LNG can just kind of bend and work around it. Only 1.5k in the lead is LNG now, and they've caught Allah. The snowball, it's happening, Dagda.
I mean, they don't have the wave, but they still have the Baron buff. If they can crack open the base, that could be incredible. I mean, just LNG are starting to fall apart. It was right there for them, and Rookie is finding picks with Karsa. And this is... what's happening, Mazel?
It took 30 minutes, but the synergy is finally online between these two. The lauded duo that we had said coming into the year, right? Karsa, Rookie, incredible in their own right, but when they come together, how deadly could it be? And in all actuality, right, it's just heads-up gameplay from V5, but it's also a problem we've seen from LNG in the past, right? That was something we talked about coming into the series. LNG, they're good at getting a good lead early on. They're good at getting Tarzan ahead, but it comes to the mid-late game decision-making where they can fumble. We hadn't seen that until now, but now it's coming alive and well.
And with V5 now resetting, still having the Baron buff, they can eke these waves in towards the base of LNG once more and fall back towards the Dragon. LNG quickly trying to dismantle these waves so they can move over towards this objective. This could be the fight that puts LNG into double a limb or finds us listening to Silver Scrapes, and V5 are putting themselves forward.
They are. The calling already used from Photic, though. A little bit of poke damage down. And LNG necessarily don't have to fight this.
Wait
but it looks like they want to. And we're trying to catch Rich out on the side. They're going to make their way around. And the Dragon about half health here. See if they can actually get in to find Rich on the side with a slicing maelstrom. The big final chapter across, but Allah isn't Meganar, and Allah, he doesn't get it in time again. They are just pouncing when the moment is right. Tarzan with the big pressing guard. Light is incredible, but Rich, he found a TP back into the fight, and they're wondering where he came from. It is V5 that take the lead for the first time in game number 4.
This had no right to be a Victory 5 win. This had no right to be a Game 5. But by God, do V5 grab this game by the scruff of its neck. They will drag it, kicking and screaming across the line. And I, for one, am ready for the Silver Scrapes. Let's get it rockin', Mazel.
You better get those speakers turned up no matter what time it is, because V5 has shown up to the series, and we're going to Silver Scrapes.
The smiles on their faces say it all. A very, very messy game from V5, but one pick turns into 2, into 3, into a massive team fight victory. And just like that, V5 turned it around. And again, this feels like why you can never count out this team. 2 splits in a row now. They have had the highest win rate from a deficit, and you're seeing it on your screens now. That was incredible.
Somehow, some way, they find an in. We set up the entire time. It's about execution for V5. They were falling so far behind. But in all actuality, that utility from the Paranoia, the catch-outs onto Allah multiple times. I believe it was 3 times in a row that Allah wasn't able to use his Meganar because he just kept getting caught out. And you take those all day as V5. You cannot have mistakes like that against this top-level team.
No, and especially when you look at the engages that were capable of coming